Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam Show. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam Show. Turn it up.
What's up, everybody? Dr. Chris here for episode 622, I believe we are, on the Pancakes and Powerslams Show. 622, are we? 622. Yes, we are. It'll be 12 years in about a month's time. Wow. Celebrating 12 years. The chat room is starting to load up. Thank you all once again for joining me for yet another week of some fun. Lots and lots of support for the Pancakes and Powerslams Show. Continue support every week. Channel is just growing and growing, man. Y'all are doing some major repping for the Pancakes and Powerslams Show because just the growth, the continued growth for of the show, of the YouTube page, the page, the subscriptions, just week after week, just continued fun and success. So thank you so much, fans, for continuing to be a part of the Pancakes and Powerslams Show. So the questions are coming in. Keep them coming. Of course, hashtag Ask Doc. Hashtag Ask Doc is the hashtag to use. But before I go into the questions, as you all know, we got some things to talk about. And the subject at hand today is Sting. It's Sting. Okay, so what did I think about AEW Revolution? So, his match. I mean, I watched Revolution, but I'm going to talk about his match in particular. So, I watched the match, of course, and the match itself, it was intense. It was high octane throughout the whole time. Tony Khan is priding himself on allowing the fans to see parts of Sting and elements of Sting that no one's ever seen before. Never seen Sting be so daredevilish in the ring. We've never seen him do so many spots. And to be honest with you, I've followed Sting since nearly he started wrestling. And, there was a couple of spots that was cool that I saw in his AEW run, but it would have been okay if I didn't see any of them. So, I mean, other than the couple that were okay, but other than that, you could have saved them. And it's interesting. I did watch the post-show press conference, and Sting was like, man, there's a lot of things that he was bucking up against when it came to Tony Khan. He didn't want to retire champion. He didn't want to be undefeated. Now, that I will give Tony Khan, if there's anything that I'm going to give Tony Khan, some kudos for, it is to protect Sting. In the WWE did a horrible job protecting Sting, and Tony Khan did a really good job protecting Sting. So kudos to Tony Khan for doing a wonderful job protecting Sting over the past 3 years in ring competition. I think Tony Khan said 30-0. And just think about that for a second. 2016, Hall of Fame comes. He gives this speech. He retires. And 2020, I believe, Winter is Coming, if I'm not mistaken. So Winter is Coming, December 2020. Then Revolution was his first match a few months later. So from Revolution of 21 to Revolution of 24, he wrestled 30 more matches. According to Tony Khan said 30-0. 30 more matches in a span of 3 years after having a career-ending neck injury. So we thought was a career-ending neck injury. It makes me wonder if, because Sting plenty of times in interviews, he was talking about how he feels really good and things are awesome. He felt really good and he doesn't need surgery or anything like that. And it makes me wonder if that was totally a WWE thing to force him to retire, because they forced Flair to retire, although I think Flair should have at that time too. But of course, he came to TNA, so he wrestled a bunch of more matches. They forced Edge to retire, but at that time, there wasn't a lot of advancements to bring him back to the ring. Was it a 9-year gap, somewhere around there that he returned? But he was able to come back, and that was good. But of course, they wanted to make sure that they followed the concussion protocol. So I understand from a business standpoint why they were holding off on Daniel Bryan and Christian and Saraya. So I understand that. But I mean, it seems as if with Sting, it seems like with the people I just said, they end up being just fine. And I'd imagine the WWE has pretty solid concussion protocols with doctors. But I guess they were too much of a liability by having concussions. And I understand from a psychological standpoint what concussions can do for you. And a lot of times, yes, you're clear, but at the same time, you're not really clear because you're prone to have more, especially when the reason why concussion in the Cliff Notes terms and layman's terms, concussion is basically there's some space between like your skull and your brain. All right. And then when you have impact, when something happened, like a bump, a lot of football players unfortunately have concussions. A lot of wrestlers have concussions. And so what happens is skull, brain, and then brain hits the skull. So the impact causes, abnormalities or causes your brain to bruise or so to speak, and so that's what causes the concussion. And then of course with concussions it can get usually aggressive thinking, like you become aggressive, memory issues, things like that. It can get as bad as like hallucinating thoughts. Suicidality is a big thing when it comes to people with concussions, especially to the point of CTE. And so for the sake of liability, WWE essentially is saying, well, we don't want anything to do with that. We don't want to cause you to, kill yourself or have thoughts of aggressive thoughts or violent thoughts. So we don't want anything to do with that. So we're going to put you in a different spot. So I do understand that, but with the, with certain protocols, with certain certain protocols, man. I mean, there's certain things that you can do to make the situation better when it comes to concussions. And so, hey, at the end of the day, they're independent contractors. So, use that to your advantage when it comes to that. But Sting had a neck issue, I believe it was. And, they thought it was going to be career ending, and it wasn't. Clearly it wasn't, because, he's just fine now at, a couple of weeks from 65 years old. And so, there was times where he was definitely slower, but I mean, nearly 65 years old wrestling a match. I mean, what do you expect? One thing I am happy about is that his AEW run is a lot better than the latter parts of his TNA run. One match that I do not ever want to leave with in my memory with Sting is his Bound for Glory match against Hulk Hogan. It was atrocious. And so I'm glad that he came back and righted that wrong with his build up to his match with Triple H. And it's interesting because I saw quotes of an interview that he wanted to, like, he got a call from Vince McMahon to work a world title match with Seth Rollins. And he came back. So of course we know he debuted, had the program with Triple H, and then he had the Mania match with Triple H, and that was it. And then he said that he got a call from Vince McMahon that they wanted him to work a program with Seth Rollins for the world title. And he said yes, thinking that it would get him one step closer to competing against The Undertaker. Guess what? That never happened. He was talking about how he had so many ideas and he really, really wanted to work The Undertaker. But I saw in an interview years ago that The Undertaker wasn't really enthused so much with working with him. I don't know why. I mean, that's interesting because, Sting was huge in WCW as The Undertaker was trying to, sow his wild oats, so to speak. And so, he was a rookie and trying to make it big, of course, making it big, but of course people wanted to see Sting and Taker, but Taker wasn't. And the thing is, he probably at that time was thinking that they wouldn't have really put on the show that they could have because it may have been too late in his eyes. I mean, that could have been the case, who knows, other than The Undertaker. So yeah, it's interesting. But real quick before I get to the question, Cam, let's talk about let's talk about Sting and his closing match, his last match with the Young Bucks. Let's circle back with that. High intense match, high octane match. That made sense. The Darby Allin spot. Why this Darby Allin spot? Why do that? It was one of those things that this was Sting's moment. This was all about Sting and you basically attempting suicide by jumping off of a ladder into a pane of a sheet of real glass, having all types of cuts and wounds, having to go to the hospital. I mean, listen, he's a young cat and he needs to look at, honestly, man, he needs to look at Jeff Hardy. And this Jeff, I'm an advocate for Jeff Hardy. I'm a supporter for Jeff Hardy. But at the end of the day, man, like that stuff can cut your career. And in between, it can really cause you to try to ease that pain. Yes, you get your adrenaline. Yes, you can deal with that in your early 30s. But give that about 10 years and see how that feels. You're going to want to, unless it's divine intervention and you ask for the healing of Jesus, look, man, it's one of those things that you're typically going to engage into some type of drug use, some type of opioid use, things like that happens, alcohol abuse. Stuff like that typically happens to escape from that pain. And so I'm really hoping and praying for Darby that he turns the volume down, man. I mean, like Sammy Guevara just got suspended from AEW for his, loco way of wrestling. And then he caused, Jeff Hardy to have a concussion. I mean, speaking of concussion, there you go. I mean, he did a botched one of those loony spots. Matt Hardy, flipped him the bird and he got suspended, man. And so he got suspended for doing that loony stuff that he does. So I think that should really be a lesson to a lot of people backstage, man. Hey, you got to scale that stuff down, man. You got to scale it down. The fans, here's the thing, man. If you think about the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, if you think I had the same conversation a couple of days ago with two of my really good friends who I was watching Revolution with. If you do a focus group of people, of casual wrestling fans who don't really watch wrestling past childhood, maybe early 90s, still Hogan era, maybe a shade, maybe a few sprinkles of Austin, they would probably give names such as Bruno. And I said, what's a Mount Rushmore based on just a outsider's view of who was the best wrestlers, the most impactful wrestlers in pro wrestling history? They would say Hogan, they would say perhaps like a Bruno because he was huge around that time. One of my friends said The Undertaker. I'm not quite sure about that, but even if I granted, you that and say Undertaker, and as far as still with outside the bubble, I mean, do you throw in, even if you throw in like a superstar Billy Graham, it's like none of those wrestlers. I mean, Andre, that's another one. That's a big one. Andre the Giant. It's pick 4 out of any of those names that I just said. None of those names were known as being wrestlers. All of those names were known as being huge baby faces, great characters, or mega villains who was in the way of the baby face. That's what wrestling's all about, man. And if you're doing all types of spots, here's the thing. One, the big spot is going to feel like every other spot, so it's not going to feel like a big spot. And then 2, you're willing to risk your life by forcing yourself to have a bigger pop. You're working for the pop at that point. You're not working for the story, and you're not having the notion that less is more. You're working for that pop because that's your drug of choice. That's your dope. That's your immediate dopamine kick of choice. It's addictive. It really is addictive. And it's not safe and it's not healthy, man. Because otherwise what happens is they look for that next spot. It's a drug, man. It's an unhealthy dopamine kick. And what that's going to do is that's going to cause you to have a higher high, like that. Your highs plateaued with this spot. Then you're going to have a higher high and a higher high and a higher high. And then all of a sudden you're going to be paralyzed, Lord forbid. So you got to watch that stuff, man. And, the match, other than that, the match had its spots. It was cool. But the one thing that the biggest thing I think that they had wrong was, I really think a good way of Darby Allin scaling down, because he was still in the ring when they won, and he was still in the ring when Sting cut his promo. And I was like, one, Darby Allin, why are you still in the ring? Of course, we found out that he was giving Sting the cues that they're about to get off air, which I think it was a weird thing that, man, they just, the last thing we hear from Sting is an interruption. That was the end of his career, was an interruption. Yes, he talked at the post-show conference, but the press conference, but a lot of people aren't watching that. But so that's unfortunate that that's the last thing we get out of Sting's career. But what I think should have happened, y'all, is that I think that Darby Allin should have turned on Sting, man. And this is coming from someone who everybody on here knows that my all-time favorite wrestler is Sting. No doubt, hands down, ever since I've been a wrestling fan back in the mid-'80s, I have been a Sting guy. Sting. The surfer look, the high impact, high octane match. As of course people know, I'm a huge fan of theme songs, entrances and theme songs are two elements that I think can make or break a wrestler, and the just ridiculous high strummed guitar surfer theme song that he had, with yelling in his promos, with the face paint, with the matching, tights. Incredible. I was hooked. And I followed Sting's career throughout it all. And I wasn't one of those people who like watched wrestling in the 80s, left, came back. No, I've been watching wrestling the entire time from 1985 or so, 86 when I started watching it till now. I have not stopped watching wrestling. I followed Sting the entire time. And it's interesting because I've seen the different variations of Sting, and I thought that was really cool. I think that was a good way of just really keeping his character relevant, and it worked. But at the same time, I'm like, you got to pay it forward, man. And that would have been a really good way of Sting of paying it forward. And look, I'm totally okay, and I'm totally happy that he was undefeated in AEW. I think that was a good, like I said, I think that was a good way for Tony Khan to right or wrong. That the WWE just abused the snot out of him. Tony Khan did a really good job with that, but man, I think they really should have paid it forward. I think they should have. Sting's cutting his promo. All of a sudden, wham! Low blow from Darby Allin. Fans boo the snot out of that, and then you go off the air. Because guess what? That's going to cause people to want to see Dynamite this coming Wednesday. But not some, hey, we're having a tournament now because Sting's retired. That's what's going to happen on Dynamite. People who came to Dynamite because of Sting are going to leave because of Sting, because there was not anything that kept them to want to watch Dynamite. If Darby Allin turned on Sting, that would have caused Sting fans to stay watching Dynamite and see why the heck Darby Allin decided to turn on Sting. And of course, I was I was in your shadows for 3 years. I wanted to do my thing. I was using you the whole time. You've even shown me now how selfish you are, because now I have to have the tag team titles forfeited. I mean, that's an easy promo that comes with that. But yet and still, we get a simple speech that gets cut off, production wise, off the air, when Darby Allin could have just cut a low blow. Sting's on the ground. Fans boo the heck out of Darby, and it goes off air. There's your cliffhanger. That's what's going to cause me to watch Dynamite. But they didn't do that. They just had Sting talk and go off the air. All right, y'all. Let's quickly, because we're going to go over to the do a Q&A over the after party. We're going to have some fun over there on the screen. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a little cough there. For the question cam. Question cam. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's go to the question cam. We're going to start off with what's up, my man? Throw the ones up for the doc. Absolutely. Or if I was like The Rock, I'd do one of these gimmicks and bring it back in. So, which I think is really interesting, man. I think this whole Rock deal is I'm in, man. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I have a sore throat, but I will power through and still join you for the after party. Fantastic, man. Well, it's always a pleasure. Thoughts on Paul Heyman going to Hall of Fame? Oh, I mean, he deserves it. I mean, hands down. I think without a doubt, it's in Philly, and Paul Heyman's a Philly guy. ECW's based, it's Philly country, Philly's ECW country, I should say. It just makes sense. I mean, people have been asking me for months and months and months who's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and I said, of course, Paul Heyman. It's a no-brainer. How would you build your own hamburger from the bun to the type beef and toppings? Interesting question. Good beef, man. Don't give me some nasty processed meat though, man. I don't mess around with. I don't eat fast food burgers. Man, I haven't had Five Guys in a while. Maybe. Yeah, if I get my burger, man, it's got to be like nicely cooked, medium, restaurant quality. Just that greasy. So give me some good Angus. Toppings, cheese. Love cheese on my burger. I also like my burger. Onions. Definitely a big onions guy. Love onions on my burger. Mayonnaise. If you got Chipotle mayonnaise, you can throw that in there too. I like pickles. I guess really that's about it. I think that glass spot was too much. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. I mean, it's hitting people's faces. I mean, okay, AEW, you take the risk. You take the risk if you want to. Because someone could throw in there and say, hey, there's some damages here that y'all should pay me for. And there's not really that much they can say about that. Derek, now that Sting's career is done, I'm just glad they left on his terms and with his health intact. Now, that I can agree with for sure. 100%. What's up, Zubair? You and Russo forgot my last super chat. Oh, my bad. What was it? All I wanted to say was wishing you and Russo good health and well wishes to Russo and his battle with diabetes. Thank you. Thank you on behalf of Vince Russo as well. I'm sure that he would be very pleased that you said that, man. Yeah, him and I've been giving him some, some Dr. Chris chats when it comes to that and the condition of it and the medical stuff. Medicine is outside my scope of practice. I am aware of a lot of it, but I do know a lot about psychological health and how that affects physiological health as well. So I've been helping him to do some things to get on track to bring that A1C down, man. So we're all pulling for him. The glass went into a fan's face at Revolution, yeah. You wouldn't see Reigns doing the glass spot. Darby is a doofus. You won't see Reigns doing the glass spot. I will definitely give you that. Yeah. I've had a conversation. I mean, similar to what I said with the Mount Rushmore. I mean, if you think of like wrestlers, other than like a Shawn Michaels and a Ric Flair, Hogan, Taker started to do some really cool spots, jumping out the ring, but his character was still like sitting up from taking spots, still slow and methodic in many ways. You're not going to see like the best of the best really care about doing a bunch of spots for the fans. I mean, their characters are strong enough that The Rock, I mean, perfect example. The Rock doesn't have to do a major spot, but he's more over than everybody in the WWE right now. He's a legend. I mean, Brock Lesnar did suplexes throughout the entire match. I mean, come on, man. You don't have to do all that. TK needs to step up as a leader and pull the reins back on these crazy spots. 100% agree with that. 100% agree. He needs to step up as a leader. He gets a high off of it too. Because guess what? He gets a high off of it because he's looking backstage and he sees the fans reacting the way that they're reacting. And his dopamine levels are kicked up unhealthily as well. And so it's unhealthy. I'm telling you, man, I do this for a living, y'all. It's not healthy to be really fiending for that type of dopamine reaction. It's not healthy, man. It really, the reason why you wonder why people go higher and higher and higher for a spot and then they get hurt and then they start to go to drug or alcohol abuse. That's just an immediate dopamine kick. And there's all types of studies stemming back from Walter Mischel days back in 1972 with the Stanford marshmallow experiment and other longitudinal studies that over the past 50 years that has shown, man, that immediate gratification. I mean, now there's some, I mean, like for the most part, now there's some things as far as like, I want some ice cream. That's not the worst thing in the world if it's done in moderation. But when it comes to like seeking constant immediate gratification, it's not healthy. And there's longitudinal studies that show that delayed gratification results into better decision making, better emotional stability, less emotional dysregulation, ability to less aggression and things like that. Just a better success. And that's the thing, man. You gotta invest today what you want for tomorrow. And if you want to be some crippled 45-year-old person, okay, cool. You keep jumping off that ladder, player. Okay, you keep jumping off that ladder and you keep allowing, as the owner of AEW, you keep allowing that to happen and see how much Darby Allin is going to be your guy. That's the reason why you can't push him to be a main eventer, because he's going to potentially be hurt any match and every match that he's in. Why would I want to give you the world championship if you're jumping off a glass and you can have a career-ending gash or having to be hurt for months to recover from a concussion? Nah, why would I do that? It's bad business. The audience members were lucky not to get the glass in their eyes. I agree. I mean, it just doesn't make sense, man. Cirque 1. I think he said, it stings like seeing one of Darby do something crazy. It would be interesting to hear his thoughts on it. Yeah, I mean, sure, but that was cray. I mean, and plus Darby does so many crazy stuff that it doesn't even, like, his crazy doesn't even feel crazy. Like, it's so normalized that the stuff that he does, that it doesn't feel special anymore. Thoughts on a wise man going to the Hall of Fame? I just talked about that. Does Reign induct him? If not, it most definitely won't be Brock. Yeah, it won't be Brock. I can see. See, the thing is with Reigns, though, he'd probably be out of character. They probably wouldn't want him to do that. I think they'd probably have the Dudleys do that. We're going to see Tom Clark on Pancakes and Powerslams. I don't know. Tom's my guy, man. It's late. It's very late. So, yeah, man. Kudos to, best wishes to him. Tom is good peoples. I thought Allen was going to turn to, yeah, he should have, man. He should have. Would you have. I think he liked it better if seeing a similar role like TNA with him doing more of a focus and having to run as world champ. No, I think him and Darby as a team was good. One thing I wish I would have seen. I wish I would have seen this is if someone else would have aligned with Sting and Darby, and they would have done a really, really good feud with Sting, Darby, and someone else against the House of Black. It would have led to a Sting versus Malachi Black match. That would have been really interesting as far as just, and you could have put some bells and whistles on it. It didn't have to. It didn't have to be in the arena. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. That would have been pretty cool, like a 6-man match there. Tony Khan called Revolution the greatest review ever. Ha ha! What a mark. Of course he was going to say that for sure. Who's the best current hero in AEW right now? Oh, Christian Cage, hands down. Christian Cage is the best heel in all of professional wrestling right now. He is killing it. He's doing a fantastic job. Nothing would make me watch Dynamite unless Reigns was on it, but that's never happening. You just called Tony Khan a mark. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Christopher, what's up, my man? What's your thoughts on Triple H's response to The Rock, and The Rock avoided his response? School me in on that. What response? When? What response? Was it on IG or something like that? And avoided his response? Fill me in on that. Darby as heel could have the Black Scorpion as his man. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, without a doubt. Almo 85. Cool name. Do you think the professional wrestling promotion can get back casual fans? Oh, good question. I think they can get back casual fans when they bring in legends and they make it make sense. They do a really good opportunity to bring in fans, and they keep them by having stories, riveting storylines. You're bringing in The Rock to put Cody over. At the end of the day, The Rock is here to put over Cody Rhodes to, guess what? Be the same type of non-story, random feuds, just like every single week. And that's not going to bring back casual fans, unfortunately. Do you think AEW and WWE can get back casual fans to professional wrestling? Okay, so AEW is worse than WWE when it comes to the casual audience. I mean, it's marks. I've been to an AEW show for media, and I've been to a WWE show for media. An AEW show is just a bunch of marks wanting to put themselves over. And then WWE's gotten that way too, unfortunately. It's a lot less casual friendly, man. It's not really entertainment. It's just some circus every week. But give me a story. I mean, the WWE can do it. They did it with the Bloodline. They did it with the Bloodline story, and I liked it. You can do it again. It's possible. Do you see The Rock turning on Reigns at WrestleMania? In some capacity, yes. I do think The Rock either is going to turn on Reigns during the tag match to cause it to be just Cody and Reigns for WrestleMania Sunday, which of course Cody's going to win. Although I think Roman Reigns winning would be amazing, but I do think Cody Rhodes will beat Roman Reigns, unfortunately. But I do think that either Rock is going to turn in the tag match to cause the Rock and Roman match to have no Bloodline members, or it's Bloodline rules, and because of Bloodline rules, people are going to think that The Rock is siding with Jay and Solo as they're doing what they're doing, but then he's going to rock bottom Roman Reigns and cause Cody Rhodes to have the title. So then that leads to Rock Roman non-title at SummerSlam, Drew Punk at SummerSlam, and I think we're going to have Cody versus Seth at SummerSlam because I think Seth's going to turn on Cody Rhodes. If not at WrestleMania, it's going to be somewhere close to that. Apparently, AEW puts on the Tron, and their tickets, if anything hits or falls on the fans, it's basically at their own risk, and they can't do anything about it. Well, fans will buy right into that because they want to be known and seen and heard. So, yeah, do I want to be known and seen and heard at the expense of getting shards of glass in my face? Sure. Zubair, I think they're going Styles versus Knight as a ripoff for Austin versus Bret Hart. I never thought about it like that. I never thought about that comparison. But that would be a great value version of Austin versus Bret. That's for sure. And AJ's a legend. I mean, LA Knight's great on the mic. I've been talking about how great he is on the mic for years, and AJ's a Hall of Famer. But I mean, you're trying to, man. It would be a great value version of Austin versus Bret just because of their star power and just because the story was built much better. This LA Knight AJ Styles story is trash. I mean, it's I don't care. They can have that match on SmackDown. Why do I care about that match being on WrestleMania? Why don't you make it a 5-way match? Come on, make it a 5-way. WWE. WWE is that Fall Friday book Jimmy versus Jimmy to make people care about Jay. I agree. Jimmy versus Jay is another thing I don't care about. They've booked Jimmy as a lackey for months, and now he's going to go against Jay on WrestleMania as if I care. I don't care about that. Do you think there should be more diversity and inclusion in wrestling business? That's a good question. Yes. Do I think there should be more diversity and inclusion? But there's been, pro wrestling's come a long way when it comes to diversity and inclusion. They've come a long way. I don't think it's like, because back in the day, it was a thing, man, as far as just like promoters not feeling, feeling reluctant to have, a black person be the face of the company. So, yeah, I mean, that was a thing, man. That was definitely a thing. But nowadays, I don't think it matters. I mean, I don't think that's even really a thing, like to, whether do I feel comfortable with having a black person be the head of my company or not? Sure. I mean, I don't. If you're bringing in money, I don't care who or what you are. Christopher, when The Rock told Triple H to fix it in their night after SmackDown, Triple H was bashing Rock, and Rock was on the next SmackDown and didn't respond. We'd love to see a power struggle angle. Oh, okay, I got you. Okay. Oh yeah, he did say fix. I remember that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that never really went anywhere. So, power struggle angle. Make it. You better make it really good, man. Otherwise, it's going to feel like all the other ones. The problem with AEW is that they just cater to the audience. Nothing they do makes them grow. TK is happy. Revolution makes 1 million. That's pennies to WWE. Yeah, I agree. I still see Rollins turn on Cody. Yep, I agree. That's what I just said. I think that they are. Why are storyline and character development lacking? And okay, let's go. This is good. Why are storyline and character development lacking in professional wrestling? Because WWE is about content creation. And so they're looking for YouTube and, and Twitter and all the socials. So that's their emphasis. That's what they care about. unfortunately, and that's they're catering to the audience at the expense of the fans, of the casual fans, and that's AEW. That's basically AEW is that on steroids. So I mean, let's have a bunch of matches, and as long as it gets a pop from the audience, that's all I care about. That's the reason why AEW ratings wise is not better at all. Not one person better than they were 4 years ago when they started. My pleasure. Thank you for your involvement, and thank you everybody for y'all's involvement in the Pancakes and Power Slam shows for today. We're heading over to the after party, y'all. Just a brief after party, but it's always fun. Let's do this real quick. If I can see Sting in WWE for one off, if Luger wants Sting, then induct Sting. But I don't see Sting coming back. And your thoughts on Cole mentioning Sting on Raw? I appreciate Cole mentioning Sting on Raw. I think he should have. Sting is a legend. He contributed. But it's so funny that I meant to say this on Legion of Raw, but McAfee was like, he was about to put the match over. And it's like, as soon as he was about to put the match over, Michael Cole said, "Oop, man, we have a really nice match going on now." Like I noticed that from the very beginning, how he just super intercepted Pat McAfee and cut him off before he could say one sentence, and it was over with. So I think they will allow Sting to. I mean, he's retired, so I think that they would allow Sting to come back and give him and induct Luger, which I think he should induct Luger. So that was a good question. All right, y'all. Listen, less than $1 a week to support your boy. I'm over here answering all your questions and having fun with you every single week. Support me. Less than $1 a week. Patreon.com/Pancakes and Powerslams. We're heading over to the after party to have a lot of fun. Put you on the screen while asking me some more questions. And maybe you might get a little scoop or two. That's what I do. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Chris. Until next week, enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless. And always remember, I do it for you. Have a good night, buddy. Solo.